Man with the floating gun.
Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to another brand new episode of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have Laura Seal, the host of Disney on Ice presents Into the Magic. We'll have a family 4-pack of tickets to give away to their opening night here in St. Louis. Plus, my executive producer Joey V and I will be giving our movie reviews of Wolfman and September 5th, respectively. All that and more, stand by.
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, 1 ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
For those of you driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight listening to us on the Big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you. If you are streaming us on YouTube and Facebook, we are live on video, which means Joey V is in studio with me as he'll be giving his review of September 5th later on. And is it September 5 or September 5th?
September 5.
It's just September 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure if I was saying it right or if it's just because I saw some people just say SEPT 5. I'm like, is it Sept 5? Is it Sept 5th? September 5th. So
if anyone accuses you of being wrong, just plead the 5th.
That's a good point. I can do that. That's all right.
It's a legal
I know what that means.
thing that you can do.
I know what that means. Okay, so he'll be doing September 5. I'll be doing Wolfman. And before that, we've got Laura Seal, who's hosting Disney and the Magic. She's actually out there on the skates the entire time, interacting with the crowd, bringing some of the kids out so that they can take part in this cool show. If you've been to Disney on Ice before, it's a lot of fun, and we're going to have a family 4-pack of tickets to give away to that at the Enterprise Center on their opening night, January 30th. It runs through February 5th. Tickets are on sale now if you go to Disney on Ice. I believe it's DisneyOnIce.com, or you can also go to the Enterprise Center's website, and they'll have the tickets on there for that event. With that being said, we're going to go right to my interview with the Disney on Ice presents Into the Magic host, Laura Seal.
One of my favorite memories is seeing Disney on Ice as a young child at the old Kiel Auditorium. Now you can bring your children down to the Enterprise Center beginning January 30th for Disney on Ice. They're back. I'm talking to the host of the event, Laura Seal. Thank you very much for your time.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Of course, I can only imagine, because I've hosted events before. The only thing I can add to it that would make it more difficult is putting ice skates on me. So you've been skating for quite a while. Talk about your history with ice skating and the event.
Sure. Yes. So as you said, I am the live skating host, which is, I think, probably the most fun role in the entire show. It is so amazing to get to interact with all of the audience members while also skating and being on a mic. And yes, I started skating at the age of 7, which I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but it's been a while.
Okay.
I feel very lucky to be able to now make that into a career and also bring a whole new level of things to ice skating, which is hosting the event. And I just couldn't be happier.
I had ice skate lessons as a kid. I'm sure most people did. Their parents take them out so they get them used to it. When did you realize, though, that this was what you wanted to do?
Oh, I think from the moment I stepped on the ice. My mom actually skated as a kid, so she was the one who got me into it, and I just fell in love with it right away. And I was lucky enough to grow up with other performers in the rink. One of my coaches had performed in ice shows, and so I had that environment around me, and I knew that that was an opportunity for me. And I knew, I think probably from the time I was like 13 or 14, that it was something I wanted to do in the future. And I just pursued it. I did go to college first, and then I pursued performing after that. So yeah.
Man, I mean, that just to have that drive and know that that's what you want to do from such an early age. I guess that's why you're so good at what you do.
Well, thank you.
And
yes,
then,
and I still love it.
And then to add on top the cake, Disney. I mean, there's few bigger brands in the world. And like I said, I remember this show coming through. It's changed quite a bit, I've no doubt, from when I was a small child. But now this is the Enterprise Center. We've got you're leading people through vignettes from older ones like Cinderella, but also newer ones like Coco and Moana and Frozen. Talk a little bit about, I guess, do you remember your first Disney film that you saw on the big screen?
Ooh, I actually have a funny story. I remember winning a raffle to get The Lion King on VHS back in the day, and so that's the main one that I remember. And I absolutely loved that, and I think I also really loved Beauty and the Beast. But you're right, we do kind of have a special twist on it, and our show is called Disney on Ice Presents Into the Magic. And you did name most of the stories that we have. We also have Coco and Tangled, and so there's a little bit of something for everybody in the show. I think something that people don't necessarily expect is that we also have a lot of dazzling special effects, like Rapunzel flies for an aerial silk routine from her hair at 30 feet in the air.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's something to look forward to, that everybody will enjoy, and it's just breathtaking. And as the live host, I also get to interact a lot with the audience members. So we have moments in the show where we're able to bring children from the audience down to sit alongside the ice and get a chance to meet Rapunzel and Flynn from Tangled, or watch Belle from Beauty and the Beast up close. And I think that's something that's super special about this show that not everybody gets to experience. And I'm just so happy to be able to bring that to audiences at the Enterprise Center. And yeah, I can't wait to see you all there.
With this being, obviously, it's a show you're performing around the country. You're taking this out and everywhere, so you know it by heart. But I was talking to Julie, the PR person who set me up with you, and she said, well, they've got rehearsals on Sunday, so it's still something you guys still rehearse. Is that just a matter of kind of like walking the stage in the new venue, getting used to how the ice feels, or are there little things you're tweaking and adding to the show that make it a little different each time you visit a new city?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do have rehearsals every week, and a lot of what you said is true. Each week, the ice is a slightly different size and shape, so it's something that we have to rehearse and prepare for each week and get our feet used to skating on the ice and the different sizes. And so we have close to, I believe, 50 members of our cast that we travel with. And so some of the numbers that you see in the show have a lot of skaters in it. And so we rehearse those larger numbers to get familiar with the ice size and make sure that all of our shapes are correct and our lines are correct so that we bring the best show to audiences possible. And we also, each show, our performance director takes notes and we go through them, and we're always constantly refining and enhancing the show. And that's something I think as performers, we also really love because we always want to be our best. So doing rehearsals each week and getting those notes and constantly practicing and making ourselves better is super important to us so that we bring the best show possible to everybody.
With being the host, I'm curious, did you try out for the I want to be the live host, or was it, hey, I started out as one of the princesses and now I've graduated to being host? How does the hierarchy work with a job like that?
Yeah, no, I think honestly, I tell my friends this all the time. I'm like, if you look back at me as a child, I was such a shy kid. I would have never imagined that it would be me out there speaking to thousands of people every day. So it wasn't necessarily something that I thought was an opportunity or possibility for me. But I think I have a lot of other experiences. I coached skating for a long time. I did a lot of public speaking in school. And I think our casting director, once I joined the company and did a lot of other things for the company, was like, this is something that I think you'd be really good at. So she saw it in me, and I'm so grateful to her because I never would have even brought it up, but it really is natural for me, and it's something I absolutely love. And it's now something that I tell a lot of young skaters about as an opportunity that they could pursue in the future. That's different than just skating, but you get to bring this whole public speaking aspect into it. And it's honestly really unique, I think, just to Disney on Ice. I don't know of any other performance company that does skating and hosting at the same time. So I'm so lucky to be able to do it.
And if you're just now tuning into the broadcast, we're talking with Laura Seal. Disney on Ice presents Into the Magic Enterprise Center beginning January 30th. You can get your tickets online now. I was very curious, with you being a USFS double gold medalist, regional and sectional competitor, now you're doing a collaborative event you've got a cast that you're all working for the same goal. Is it, when you're anything sports like, when you're doing skating, obviously there's that competitive nature, you're double gold medalist, and now it's a different type of gig because you're this cooperation for this stage show that you guys are doing here on Ice. What do you prefer one over the other? Do you like to have that little adrenaline rush not that performing live isn't an adrenaline rush, but it's a different type, I would assume. Talk a little bit about competing versus collaborating.
Yeah, no, that's a great thing to talk about. I think that working as a group is so much more fulfilling because we all do bring our competitive backgrounds. I mean, I would say every single person in our cast was at one point a competitive skater. And because of that, I think it brings our show to a much higher level because everybody still has that competitive drive and that I want to strive to be the best I can be every time I'm out on that stage. So because of that, you as the audience are going to see the best show you possibly can. But we also all work together to create that and to bring our performance to the stage. And because we have a group of almost 50 people, every day you're working together and you get to achieve those things together versus as an individual competitor, you're just kind of out there for yourself. So it's so much more fulfilling to see everybody work together and everybody achieve those goals and everybody feel like they've created something magical and special for the audiences. So in my opinion, this is so much better. And to be able to continue this throughout my life and not just have to stop after I'm done competing and have a career in it and find that that common goal with everybody that I work with every day is so special.
Being the host, obviously, it's so much fun. You're kind of directing the action, you're talking, and then getting that, like you said, interaction with the audience. If you had to switch places and be able to perform one of the roles, do you have one you've kind of got your eye on, like, oh, it'd be so much fun to do this because of either a special move they get to do or just being that character? Is there another one you'd take if you had to switch?
Well, I love all of the characters that we have in our shows and all of the Disney characters. I think if I were to tell you my two favorite, or actually I have three favorite characters. I love Isabella Madrigal from Encanto, Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and Princess Jasmine from Aladdin. Those are my top three favorite princesses.
See, my favorite Disney character is Darkwing Duck, and I haven't seen him on Ice yet, so I'm hoping one day.
I haven't either.
One day we'll get him. And with performing, it's just like acting. You're doing a different type because obviously you're adding a difficulty level. You're on ice skates, but actors have certain things. They make sure. Like a friend of mine, she won't look at her script the entire day of the show. For example, are you and a lot of your cast members the same? Because you are performers. Is there a ritual or a superstition or a bit of tradition that you all do or that you personally do?
Yeah, I think each person definitely has their own kind of ritual that they do before each show. I know for myself, something that I always do is I always put my right skate on first.
Okay.
And something that I've also, and I'm sure any other vocal performer has had to develop, I definitely have a vocal health regimen that I go through because not only am I talking throughout the whole show, but I'm also talking while I'm exerting myself, which is something that was completely new to me when I started this job. And I've had to learn kind of what I need to do to prepare to make my voice as healthy as possible while also being able to perform at the highest quality while skating. So I have my things like vocal warm-ups and routines and tea and all of that as well, which has been interesting to develop. And I've worked with speech therapists as well to develop those vocal exercises. So that's been fun.
with coming here to St. Louis on this tour. We've got a lot of great restaurants and things like that. Are you someone who looks ahead at the cities and kind of plans, I want to hit this place, want to hit this place? Or do you kind of like when you and the cast arrive, you just kind of want to see what's out and around and be surprised and kind of be spontaneous when you go out to eat or grab a coffee or whatever?
Yeah, no, I think I'm a little bit of a mix of both. I definitely look ahead at restaurants and cute coffee shops. My favorite thing to do is to find a good coffee shop. That's especially at this time of year when it's snowy and cold, and being able to just kind of get a nice warm cup of coffee. But I also do like to just walk around and explore, and I think a lot of us are that way, where it's kind of fun to just see where the day will take us on our days off. And I'm excited to come back to St. Louis. I think I was there 2 years ago now, so I'm definitely excited to come back and see everybody again.
And just a couple of last questions for you. I was curious with this being a Disney thing. Do you still have your Disney VHS tape? Is there a different Disney thing? Do you have collectibles? Do people give you things like the children give you stuff when you're sliding up to them on ice? Kind of what are some of your prized possessions, Disney memorabilia that you might have or collect?
That's a great question. Yes, I am sure that if I were to ask my mom, that we could dig up some of those old Disney VHSs at home. But I think what's really fun about being a part of Disney on Ice is that it kind of brings back that childhood nostalgia and love for Disney that I've always had. And we, as a cast, when you portray a different role, oftentimes, yes, you do get a figurine or you have something that you sit on your makeup spot, and it just kind of reminds you of that role that you get to do and how special it is every day. So I do have a few of those that I travel with me, and a lot of us have T-shirts or special bags and things that remind us of our characters in our show. And I think it just brings back that kind of childhood feel and the youthfulness for all of us, which is so fun. And I don't think you would experience with any other show. But yes, sometimes the audience members do give notes to Mickey and Minnie or Elsa. And as the host, sometimes I'm the one that gets to give them to them. And it is so special. So if any kids out there want to do that, please do, because I remember giving a note to Mickey Mouse and he was just so happy. It made his day. So it is so special when audience members do that for us. And we know how much effort goes into that. So thank you all so much for doing that.
And my final question before I let you go, I'm curious, is there, do you have a favorite memory either from this tour, or you mentioned coming through on the last one? Is there something that's really stood out, just a very special moment, or anything that's like, wow, this right here is why we do this, why it makes it so much fun, why it's so much magic to be at these events?
That's a great question. As I said, there are a few moments in the show that I get to interact with the audience. Well, and actually throughout the whole show I'm interacting, but where I specifically am with 1 to 3 children. And the moment that is the most special every single show for me is when I get to take those kids to set off a lantern with Rapunzel and Flynn for Rapunzel's birthday. And they get to make a wish, and then they get to meet Rapunzel and Flynn. And just literally every single show that is so special. There's not necessarily one of those moments that stands out, but getting to see their eyes as they lift this lantern up into the sky and get to meet one of their favorite characters is special every single show. And it almost brings tears to my eyes most days.
I can imagine. And if you're listening right now and you're a parent, you've got, oh my gosh, this sounds like so much fun. Tickets are available now, January 30th through, I believe, February the 5th, if I'm not mistaken, at the Enterprise Center. You can see Disney on Ice, Into the Magic. Laura Seal is the live host. Laura, I so much appreciate your time. Thank you for speaking with me, and hopefully we'll see you on tour.
Yes, thank you so much. And as you said, we do have 8 shows, so find one that fits your schedule, and you can go to DisneyOnIce.com for more information. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your time.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Be well.
There she goes, Laura Seal. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we do have a family 4-pack of tickets to give away for Disney on Ice, Into the Magic at the Enterprise Center. This is a 4-pack of tickets to the Enterprise Center on their opening night, January 30th at 7 p.m. What we'll do, let's make it pretty simple. Just call the studio right now, 314-931-5785. 5877. We'll take the very first caller who comes through. You'll answer a very simple trivia question. If you get it right, then we'll get your email address and information and get you that family 4-pack of tickets to go see Disney on Ice on January 30th at the Enterprise Center. Simple as. We'll just do that. 314-931-5877. We'll be watching the phones. While we do that, we are going to take a quick commercial break. So we'll do that. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
The Turtles are assaulting the Technodrome. Inside are the Foot Clan Prep and Storage Chamber, Krang's Laboratory, and Shredder's Master Control Room. Huh? Turtles? Oh, they've been spotted. Now they'll have to watch out for the I Spy radar, that hidden ooze pit, the spike back door. Turtle soup time. Oh no, an ooze scanner, a brain scrambler, and mutant manacles. Can Leonardo rescue them? Sure hope so.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
From Playmate.
3, 2, 1. Hey there, sports dudes. In baseball tonight, Grand Slam and Raft slammed a hit. Unfortunately, the ball didn't go anywhere because it was attached to a pole. In football, TD Toss and Leo's making sure the Foot aren't having a ball. In basketball, Slam Dunk and Don's becoming a real basket case. And in wrestling, we find Shell slamming Mike pinned by his python. More Sewer Sports All-Stars coming up, but now a word from our sponsor.
Teenage Mutant Ninja
From
Turtles.
Playmates, dude.
They live in the dark,
Radical, dude.
and they only come out when it's time to eat. New Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pasta from Chef Boyardee. Delicious pasta shaped like Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo.
Turtle power!
Kids, I've told you, you can only have your turtles in the kitchen.
New Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pasta.
Why, thank goodness for Chef Boyardee.
Ninja Turtles, get ready! It's an attack! A snack attack! A crunchy snack attack! It's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pizza crunch-a-bunga! Snack attack! A snack attack, Jack! Going to pieces over crunchy little pizzas! A snack attack! Pizza crunch-a-bunga snacks! Sounds like a crunchy snack attack, dude! I take on any ninja who takes my crunchy food! Pizza crunch-a-bunga! Want some? Got some! Awesome! Crunch-a-bungas!
Let's party, dudes! The Turtles Party Wagon means good times for the green guys and hard knocks for the Foot.
Yeah, and it's a big hit.
Yoink! It's Mike and April on the Ninja News Cycle, arriving at the scene of a crime with fold-down gull wings, satellite dish, and pop-up turtle cam. They've got everything they need to record fancy footwork. And who else would rob a shoe store? Oh, will the Foot stomp them?
Teenage Mutant Ninja
Figures and vehicles sold separately from Playmates.
Looks clear, Freddy. Okay, ready, Eddie? Yeah! Let's go! Deja vu! I knew you'd say that. Look, they're back! Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Power Rangers! Our 4 dudes plus April O'Neil, Rocksteady, Shredder, and Splinter. One brand special Freddy set! Right. See you soon! Good, holy Freddy!
There are places where imagination is an outlaw, where freedom is feared, where cookie boredom rules, and there are those who fight back.
Combat cookie boredom. Get new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cookies in 4 great flavors from delicious brand cookies.
Do it before it's too late.
Hey, dudes, pizza party! Yeah, now our cereal has new pizza-shaped marshmallows.
I don't see any marshmallow.
Who took them?
At last, turtle power is mine.
The pizza marshmallow is mine.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles!
Pizza delivery!
Get them.
Turtle power! Hey, Shredhead, want to help put all the marshmallows back? These guys can handle it.
In Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
We are back. Geek to Me Radio, heard here every Sunday night on the Big 550 KTRS. I'm your host, James Enstall. Thank you very much to Dolores, who called in and won the tickets for the 4-pack of Disney on Ice. She said she's going to take her great-grandchildren. So, Dolores, congratulations on winning. I hope you and your great-grandchildren enjoy Disney on Ice at the Enterprise Center. It should be a lot of fun. We'll make sure we tell you about our premier sponsor, the City of St. Charles, the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. You know them from the website discoverstcharles.com. If you are wanting to get out, I know it's cold right now. My goodness, today that wind was brutal. But I still saw someone out jogging today. I was like, all right, well, very good for you. I'm applauding your determination and enthusiasm, sir. But boy, you couldn't. I quickly transitioned from building to car to building as fast as I could. But you know, hey, spring's right around the corner. We're already coming up in the end of January. If you want to get out and do something fun, the ice sculpture, this cold weather should make very good weather for the ice sculpting event out in St. Charles. They do every January. They've got the Valentine's Day Festival, Once Upon a Valentine, coming up. If you're pro-Valentine or anti-Valentine, they've got something for you. It's the brand new festival just launched last year in 2024, celebrating the pros and cons of Valentine's Day. It's a lot of fun. You'll get to interact with characters like the wives of King Henry. You will also be able to see Romeo and Juliet and make your own sonnets. You'll have the Lonely Hearts Club, a group of singers that goes around singing fantastic songs. It's a lot of fun. If you've been to Christmas and you've been to Halloween, you kind of know what to expect. It's a lot of fun, and it's in that same vein. And just to get out and try some of the restaurants along North and South Main. My gosh, Novellas, we just were there not too long ago. We had brunch there. They got a fantastic brunch menu. And, of course, Salt and Smoke. You got Magpies. Just a lot of food, a lot of great shops up and down there like Chuck and Lou and the Cozy Shop, like Sugar and Slice. Oh my gosh, if you go there on the weekends, they make cinnamon rolls. They only do it on Saturdays and Sundays, though, but those are the best cinnamon rolls I've ever had in my life. It's just these shops, these restaurants, these places up and down North and South Main, they're all small businesses. Get out there and support them. Get out there and take a look around. Just get out and have some fun. Start your trip at the website, discoverstcharles.com. That is discoverstcharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. Hello to Shannon and Cindy and My Flock and Dan in the chats. Hello to all of you. I remember this time to look at the chats. I'm trying to be better. It's hit or miss, as we know, with me, but I actually responded to everybody this time around. So thank you all for listening. We are going to talk some movies. There's a lot of movies coming out. Obviously, first of the year, Joey V went and saw one that I didn't get to see. I went and saw one that he didn't get to see. So, Joey, tell everyone what you thought of September 5th. Or 5.
You did
Sorry,
it again.
September 5. It's hard.
12 lashes for this man.
Sorry.
Send him through. Well, September 5, it is a wonderful film. I'm just going to tell you right now, I loved it. And it is about the 1972 Olympics in Munich, Germany. And what happened is that the Palestinian group of terrorists took the Israeli team hostage, and they threatened to murder each one of them every hour if 200 other Palestinians weren't released across the country. So what they did was they were at the Munich Olympic Games surrounded by ABC cameras. I mean, ABC was covering sports. I mean, the wide world of sports.
Right.
So what they did was the ABC sports team decided to cover this as best as they could. And the entire film is told from the perspective of that control room. Now, it didn't feel claustrophobic to me, but that is a common term that people will use. But because you are seeing the world through the lens of cameramen all over Munich, it didn't feel like you were just stuck in the control room with people yelling at each other. And I just love movies like this. I guess I call them process films. I don't know if that's the right term, but when a reporter or a lawyer is breaking down a story or a case, I love films like that. You know, Spotlight, that won Best Picture. They were going after the Catholic Church, or law ones like the one I just watched for the very first time the other day, Primal Fear, with Richard Gere. Yeah. He's a lawyer trying to figure out who killed this cardinal, or, of course, A Few Good Men, one of the greatest films of all time. I just like films like that. And so seeing the inside workings of the ABC sports team trying to cover news and what they did to make stuff happen in 1972 is just my favorite thing in the world to watch, because it's not like it is now. Like, I work in radio, you work in radio. we actually do the jobs of, 4 or 5 different people. Back in the day, you'd have someone for each individual thing. And they show just how hands-on, how tactile it is. Just something as simple as putting a title up on the screen back in the day. I mean, someone had to actually have the letters ready, put it on a blackboard, film it in a special way, and then superimpose that on the screen. I mean, now it's just a few keystrokes and that's it. Or something like they actually have Peter Jennings. I mean, amazing storied news anchor is in this film. And Peter Jennings is across the hallway, basically, from these terrorists, and he's reporting it over the phone. And they have to figure out a way to get the handheld handset wired into the board so they can put it on TV. And just things like that are incredible to me. And what is really amazing is the number of people who saw this. This was the first time that the world saw sports broadcast all over the world via satellite. So this is 1972. You got to think back what that meant. So 900 million people were watching the Olympics, and then a terrorist attack breaks out. And then now they're glued to their TV for that. This is, I'm told, like the most watched thing that's ever happened on television. And it's incredible that I haven't really been exposed a lot to this story of September 5 and the Munich terrorist attacks. I know that, we're very young. We weren't even alive back then.
I was not, no.
So I know the story's been told a few different times. If you remember back in 2005, Steven Spielberg did the movie Munich. And that's more about what happened after the fact. They were hunting down the Palestinian terrorists. And then back in 1999, there was a documentary called One Day in September that won Best Documentary in the 2000 Oscars. And I've seen that one, but I had forgotten about it. So this is just another way of telling this incredible story. And it's so timely, too. This movie, September 5, I don't know if you got this email from the people who do the marketing for this movie. They said the date has been pushed back for some reason. Obviously, there was a screening for us, but I don't know if this is in limbo or something. But the movie, September 5... There's 2 things that are happening right now. In LA, there's the wildfires. So maybe they feel like it's a little tacky to do promotions or red carpet events with all of the suffering that's going on.
Postponing the Oscars possibly too, whether or not they're going to do that, of pushing that back.
Yeah, the nominations for the Oscars actually got pushed back. They're supposed to be on the 17th. They were supposed to be on the 17th, but now they're going to be on the 23rd. So that got pushed back. But yeah, the incredible thing that also happened is the exact same day of our screening, Joe Biden announced that there was peace talks that have, I guess, are going to be successful. It hasn't really happened yet. That the peace in the Middle East has broken out in Gaza is something that was announced the same day that we had our screening. So this stuff is just never going away. I mean, as long as there's this conflict in the Middle East and Palestine and people who feel like they don't have a country, this movie is just as important as ever. So I can't wait for people to see this. I give it 8 out of 10. I mean, I love it. And it's for people who get sleepy. It's 91 minutes, man, and it's tense the entire time. The music is chugging along, and the integration of the real life footage. Now, I'm not as familiar with some of these other people. I mean, Howard Cosell, we know him, and we know Peter Jennings. Yeah. But I didn't really know Jim McKay, but apparently he's a legend in broadcasting too. He was the Olympics coverage guy, and the way the actors in this film interact with Jim McKay, the real life guy in that archival footage, is just incredible. It's mind-bending to me that they were able to pull this off.
So he's like the Bob Costas of the 70s.
Yes, of course. Okay. And the big movie star in September 5 that they're pushing is Peter Sarsgaard, which you may know him better as Mr. Maggie Gyllenhaal. He's married to Maggie Gyllenhaal. But I remember him mostly from Jarhead, of course, and he was in Kinsey as well. You'd know his face, but he's not exactly the main character. He's the president of ABC Sports. But the guy who really is the center stage of this, he is just thrown in last second to be the guy running the show and choosing the camera angles. The actor's name is John Magaro, and if you saw Past Lives last year, that was nominated for Best Picture.
Didn't.
So he's a guy whose face you'd recognize, but you wouldn't really know him. This is definitely a star-making performance because he is the lead of this over Peter Sarsgaard. So keep an eye out for John Magaro. And if you saw Past Lives, it was a very sweet kind of romance movie about 2 young coming-of-age kids who grow apart, I think maybe in China or something like that. And then later on, they reconvene after their lives have already moved on and the girl's already married to this guy, John Magaro. So look up Past Lives if you want to get more familiar with his work. September 5, I cannot, like I said, wait for people to see this.
I know when I watch some of these historical I don't want to say historical fiction. It's based on history, and I assume it's pretty faithful to the events with a little bit of dramatization.
Yeah, throwing in the real archival footage. It's very accurate to what happened, yeah.
But I'm curious, what I'll do is I'll see some of these, I'm like, wow, and I start going down a little bit of a rabbit hole and seeing, did they catch these guys? Were anyone hurt? What did the Olympics, who won the most medals? Did you do any other research? Did you kind of go down rabbit holes as well, or was this pretty much focused for you?
Yeah, I sure did. That documentary that I was mentioning before, One Day Up September, that won Best Documentary Oscar in 2000, that is actually free in a legitimate way on YouTube. If you've looked up YouTube, they have a whole movies channel. That's the official movies that are free on there. And you can just watch it right now. And I watched that today while I was driving. Well, I listened to it today while I was driving here on double speed. Just to
Didn't watch while he was driving.
Yeah, well, just to familiarize myself with the movie. I'd seen it and rated it like 4.5 out of 5 stars, but I had forgotten all about it. So if you have any curiosities about the terrorist attacks that happened in 1972 Munich Olympics, this movie is just from the control room side, and it doesn't get too gory. But if you watch that documentary, One Day Up September, I mean, they show the aftermath and the grisly footage. It's terrifying that we have footage like that even exists. And
I think it's like you said, neither one of us were alive when this happened, but also I always think about, when I think of Olympics and terror, I think of the Atlanta games in, what was it, 94, 96? That's when I always think of the Unabomber, and that's the one when I think of the scare at the Olympics, that's the one that comes to mind because that was in our lifetime. But yeah, this is, I love historical dramatizations. That's why I wanted to say, not historical fiction, historical dramatizations.
Clint Eastwood did that story, Richard Jewell,
right,
if you remember.
That's correct.
And that was actually very well-made movie as well.
So you would recommend this one to moviegoers?
Yeah, I sure would. And, I'm trying to keep an eye out on when it's going to come out. I'll keep people updated because I want everyone to see it. It's a German production, too. A big part of this story with the Munich Olympics in 1972 is that the last time the Olympics were in Germany was when Hitler was there.
Right.
And it didn't go too well for what happened after that. So Germany was trying to make their image a little bit better. So they actually had memorial services at the Dachau concentration camps during the 72 Olympics. And it was a time to really bring their image to the world stage and make everyone see a different side of Germany. And something that you find out is a terrible thing that they decided to do was they didn't want any cops with guns around the Olympics. And that's how this really got out of hand. There was just security guards with whistles in bright blue uniforms. So no one had guns around. And then when they called the German police, they didn't have any training for terrorist attacks. And it got to the point where they had snipers all in a circle pointing at each other. And I don't want to ruin it, but I mean, my goodness, that doesn't work out when you have snipers all pointed at each other. Yeah.
That's, half circle at least.
Of course.
They just had Gladiator on AMC tonight here at the station. I was thinking how well trained those people were with their bows and arrows and the way they'd line up. So they could have, Munich, Germany in 72 could have taken a lesson from the gladiators in ancient Rome. But that's another story for another time.
Something I really took away from the film also was that it really matters about getting the news right. It's not about who's first. It's about getting it correct. And they had debates about that of, we've heard rumors. We need at least 2 or 3 verified sources before we can go on the air. And I just miss those days of where the news was the news.
Yeah.
So even that, when everyone's saying, fake news, that just thinking back to the way things were, it makes you nostalgic for that. And we work in talk radio, and a lot of our hosts are considered opinion people. Not exactly reporting the news, but there is news involved. We have ABC News here on KTRS, and we trust that. But, if you go to some of the other shows, it's more opinion. So it depends on what you're looking at. But I look at news, and I try and go to the big nightly news, like the CBS or the ABC nightly news, instead of going on, well, not TikTok anymore. But instead of
you can. It's back, I think.
So just going through Twitter live, I try not to do that. I try and wait until the facts have been researched, and then I'll check out the nightly news. So it may be a little delayed, but I want to make sure it's right. And still, some people don't even agree on that, what's correct news anymore.
It's all about clicks. I've said for a while, the 2 things that have ruined, I wouldn't say ruined our society, but have really brought problems with our society is the 24-hour news cycle and social media. Because everyone wants to be first, everyone wants those clicks, and that's all they care about. So to your point, yeah, we used to be, I got to have at least 3 sources to verify this before we run it, because people were worried about, slander and libel and things like that. Now we'll just go ahead and print a retraction on page 8, in the coupon section, and no one will care. So very sad. But so how many stars out of 5 did you give it? I give it 4 out of 5, and if you double that up, that's an 8 out of 10. That's true. It's a passing grade. It is very good. All right. So September 5 in theaters, coming soon. We'll find out when that's coming out. It was nominated in the Golden Globes for Best Picture, so that is a good sign that it will be in the awards race. And the Oscars will be announced, the nominations will be announced on Thursday, I believe. So, I mean, if anything, this thing deserves Best Editing nomination. Just the way they cut in between the archival footage and the current stuff, and how taut it is, and it is amazing 90 minutes. That's even more exciting than Munich, the Steven Spielberg movie, or the documentary that I just watched today. It's even more exciting than that. So I would say keep it on the technical awards watch list for Best Editing, if anything. Okay. All right. So there you go. September 5 coming to theaters soon. We're going to take another quick break because why not? And we'll go ahead and clap for the Wolfman when we come back. When we come back, we'll have the Wolfman review from me. Joey didn't see this one, so we're kind of tag teaming these movie reviews. You're listening to Big. Say it I didn't stick landing there. It's an Olympics phrase. I didn't stick landing. You're listening 9.95 Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
I'm so delicious, you know that's true, because they're filled with mutagen goo. Vanilla pudding goo, and the tastiest, flakiest, greatest crust. Even better than our pizza. And it's green like us. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pie. Fresh from the sewers to you. Radically sweet. It can't be good. And a free turtle sticker inside. That's neat. New from Boston. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pie. Fresh from the sewers to you.
Dudes, when battling the foot, my motto is keep your feet planted, except of course when you're in the air. Which brings us to the Turtle Bubble Bomber. Our Bubble Bomber drops smoke-filled bubble bombs. Boom! A really awesome jet with really awesome bombs. And that brings us to another great vehicle, the Sewer Sand Cruiser. Turrets rotate, makes gunfire sounds, that'll get the foot flying. So dudes, remember, a good turtle general never finds himself in the soup.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I hate soup jokes.
Surprise! Oh, what a surprise!
Registered financial advisor, member FINRA, SIPC.
Hello, this is Jim Cummings, and this is Hondo Naka. Don't move an inch. You are listening to Geek to Me Radio, and I will be checking on you.
We are back. Geek to Me Radio, heard here every Sunday night on the Big 550 KTRS. I'm your host, James Enstall. I want to make sure we thank everyone for listening. I appreciate all of you showing up in the chats. Thank you to all of you who are listening out there on the KTRS, just our terrestrial radio signal. I know we reach a lot of people. And we had, for example, Dolores called, and she won that family 4-pack of tickets for Disney on Ice. We appreciate them giving us that 4-pack of tickets to give away. We'll make sure we tell you about our premier comic book sponsor, Bugs Comics and Games. I was just out there Wednesday on New Comic Book Day. It's very rare that I'm able to get out there on New Comic Book Day, but this was one of those exceptions. I was in the area and was able to get out to it, and it's always fun to go on New Comic Book Day because it's like Christmas for comic book fans. You get out there and you get to pick the new comic books right off the shelf, but sometimes they're sold out. So the best thing you can do is go to Bugs Comics and Games, talk to Larry, and say, hey, I want to start a pull list. And I want to pull Uncanny X-Men because I like what Gail Simone's doing. I want to make sure I pull Batman. I want to make sure I get Ultimate Spider-Man because that sells out a lot. I want to make sure I get this comic, and he'll create a pull list for you. That way, you never have to worry about missing a comic book because you'll go in there on a Wednesday, or if you can't get it on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whenever you come in, and he'll have a little stack of comic books for you. And say, I'm here to get my pull list. Name is blank, and you get the comics, and there you go. And as a bonus, not only are you getting these comics that are not going to sell out from underneath you, you can join the Avengers Club. That way you start saving money on your new comics. So tell them you want to join the Avengers Club. You'll start saving money on your new issues, your back issues, whatever it is you're buying there. You can start saving a little bit of money and make sure you get your comics before they sell out. So it's a win-win-win. It's going into a comic book store is just one of those things. It'll be you'll miss it when it's gone. Like I was just thinking the other day about Chesterfield Mall. I'm like, I had such great memories of, and I grew up in North County. I'm a North County boy, so I used Jamestown Mall was my mall, and I miss it. I actually had the reason I'm saying this is because I had a dream the other night that I went into Jamestown Mall. I got a hot Sam's pretzel, and then went over to the arcade at Aladdin's Castle. I miss it. And if we come to a point where comic book stores go away, you're going to miss it. The best way to make sure they don't go away, patronize them. Go to your local brick and mortar comic book store. And if you're in the greater St. Louis, St. Charles area, Bugs Comics and Games is the one you need to go to. Browse through the back issues, enjoy the new comic books on the shelf, and check out his action figures. Check out the comic books he's got in the case, Silver Age issues, Golden Age issues. He's got a lot of stuff. He just bought a collection, so he's got some new comics from there you can get into. If you are a Spider-Man fan, I think he got some X-Men in that run as well and some Fantastic Four. So go in and check out and say, hey, I want to see that short box that's in the case there. Check out the comics he's got and join the Avengers Club. Start a pull list. Those are my recommendations for how to enjoy 2025 as a comic book fan. Bugs Comics and Games. Give them a follow on Facebook and on Instagram as well. Bugs Comics and Games, the best place in the area for your new comics. Very proud to have them as our official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. Joey V just gave his review of September 5. Got it right that time. I am now going to tell you about Wolfman. You didn't get to go see this one. You said you didn't really have an interest because the Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins one kind of put you off. Is that correct?
Well, also, I believe I had a Christmas party I had to go to, a very late Christmas party, but I'm not against seeing horror films in January. It seems like they call this time of the year Dumpuary, but that just means that if a good horror film comes out, it's going to make all the money. And Wolfman could be it. I don't know. We'll
see, because Nosferatu is still in theaters, and I enjoyed that one. I'm just straight up more of a vampire guy than a werewolf guy anyway. So I was intrigued. I'm like, okay, this looks like an interesting premise. I had the same criticism of this one that Max Foyes, who's coming up right after me here at 10 o'clock, he had about Nosferatu. It wasn't particularly scary. It wasn't, I don't feel that Wolfman was a horror movie. It was more of a suspense thriller. So just to give you an idea, we've got Julia Garner, who everyone knows from Ozark and Inventing Anna. She plays this girl named Charlotte. Her husband is played by Christopher Abbott, who you'll recognize from some other stuff he's been in. Like if you saw Kraven, he was the Marvel Comics character, the Foreigner in Kraven the Hunter. And of course he was in Poor Things, which he was kind of a smaller part in that, which was another one of the Oscar Golden Globe nominees winners from a couple of years ago. And they're married. They've got a little bit of a strain on their marriage. They're not getting along as well. They live in San Francisco. But the movie starts out with a flashback to a young Blake, who's Christopher Abbott's character. His dad, they live in this remote area of Oregon up in the forest. And his dad takes him out and he's hunting. He's very regimented and very stern. You're going to learn to do this. You need to be very safe. You need to listen to me, do what I say. And they encounter this kind of weird creature in the woods, and he manages to scare it off, so they're safe. You fast forward to Blake living in San Francisco now with his and Charlotte's daughter, Ginger, and they get a note in the mail saying that, well, Blake's father has now passed away. He's been missing for a while. They've now officially declared him dead. He gets the keys for the family house up in Oregon, so he says, hey, Charlotte, I know you and I have been having some trouble. Let's reconnect. Let's take some time off work and let's go up to my family's thing. Help me pack the truck up. Help me pack up the house, and we'll spend some time together with our daughter, Ginger, played by Matilda Firth, who has been a lot of TV. Hull Raisers. I cannot talk tonight. Hull Raisers, Coma, and she was in the Disney film Disenchanted with Maya Rudolph. But she was very good. The whole cast is good. There's not really on the acting front, I can't say that there's anything wrong with this movie. But as they're driving up there in the truck, they're trying to find the family farm. They see this man standing in a blind, and he comes over and says, where are you headed? And I'm like, oh, I'm heading up to my family's farm. He goes, okay, I'll help guide you there. Gets in the truck. As they're driving on the road, it's getting dark. All of a sudden, this creature appears in the middle of the road. They swerve off the road. The truck rolls down the hill. The guy who they just picked up, falls out of the truck and gets dragged away by the monster. And as Blake is trying to close the door and keep his family safe, he gets scratched. Well, we all know now he's now infected. So he's slowly turning into a werewolf. They manage to make it to the family home, which is not too far off from where they lost the truck. They get inside, they barricade the door, they can hear it pacing around. So now, not only does Julia Garner's character and this little girl, their daughter, have to deal with the fact that there's a monster outside, but Now Blake is getting sicker. They can see him. He's bleeding profusely. He's starting to lose teeth. His hair's changing. He's having trouble understanding them. They do this great job when he's having trouble understanding them. They can't really understand him. And they do this juxtaposition with the camera where they see, you focus on Julia Garner and she's saying, can you understand me? Let me know how to help you. And then the camera kind of slowly turns around them. The lighting changes, so everything's almost in night vision. And then you cannot understand Julia Garner, but you can understand Christopher Abbott saying, I can't understand what you're saying. I don't know what's happening to me. And you're seeing things as he's turning more into a werewolf. And it was a great effect that I hadn't seen done before in cinema. And I know Lee Winnell, who is the writer-director in this, he was in the Saw franchise. He played Adam in the Saw franchise. He's also an actor. He's also obviously quite heavy into this because he did Insidious Chapter 3. He directed The Invisible Man in 2020, which is part of the Universal Monsters kind of franchise. And he's got 5 directorial movies, written 23 of these. Very prolific, and he knows what he's doing. My only complaint, again, was it wasn't really a horror movie because they're in the house, and then they kind of go outside the house because she sees a truck and like, hey, let's get to the truck. She tries to jumpstart the truck, and the thing attacks them. They get to the greenhouse while they try to make a run for it, and the dad finally says, he points to the house, and he's got enough wherewithal to say, go to the house, I'll lead the monster away, which he does. And I don't want to give all the action bits away, all the scenes, but it was good. I enjoyed it. My score was, I think, 3.5 out of 5 stars. The acting was great. I thought they could have done something a little bit different with the ending. And I was talking Max on Movies. Max Voisey went and saw it. He was at the same screening, and he and I talked a little bit about it. And I said, I would have liked to have seen this. And both he and his dad were like, oh, that would have been really good. When you see it, you'll kind of understand. But I think it's worth seeing, especially if you're a fan of the Universal properties. I was just on with BK on the air down there in Cartersville, Georgia, yesterday reviewing this. And he's a huge Wolfman fan, the original 1941 Lon Chaney. And Joey V, as I'm word vomiting, I just realized I'm monologuing here. Are you a Wolfman fan, a fan of the werewolf horror genre? Are you more of a vampire guy, more of a Frankenstein guy, Dr. Jekyll?
I've never taken the time to really get into the Universal monster world. You know, I like going to Universal Studios and seeing those characters, but I've just not gotten into them. If you were to make me pick, I mean, vampires are the most exciting and sexy. And
well, sure.
And of course, one of my favorite TV shows was What We Do in the Shadows. So I love a funny vampire. I haven't really seen a funny werewolf sitcom. Maybe that's waiting to happen.
Harry and the Hendersons, I guess, is the closest we got.
Oh, yeah, of course. You know, this is a Blumhouse film, so of course, low budget horror is what they do. It was like $25 million. It's made maybe $17 million so far, so it'll definitely make its money back. But I haven't been hearing the best of things about this Wolfman. I don't know if they do these every few years to keep the rights or something. I mean, that Benicio del Toro Wolfman came and went, and nobody remembers that. It's like memory hold, as they say.
Yeah. Again, I know this kind of goes back, but I'm one of the very few people, because in 2017, they tried to do a connected Universal horror franchise.
Yeah.
Yes, and they were going to have them all in the same, kind of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe with all the monsters, and that was the jumping off point was the 2017 The Mummy with Tom Cruise and Sofia Boutella.
I never gave that one a chance.
Oh, it's worth it just to see Sofia Boutella on screen. Okay. But I enjoyed it. It was fun. They had Russell Crowe shows up. They go to him to try to get some help, and he's Dr. Jekyll, and he turned into Mr. Hyde. Tom Cruise is getting slapped all around his office by Mr. Hyde. It was a lot of fun. I'm like, this is cool. I would like to see more of this. Who's going to be Dracula? And then it just kind of fell off because that movie did not do well at the box office. So I'm alone in my opinion of that one being a fun movie. I enjoyed it. But originally, when this was being thrown into the mix, Ryan Gosling was attached to star. And I think he may have helped either produce it or write it, maybe. But obviously it's gone through several writers since then, several directors since then. I do like they took a chance. They took a swing and did something a little bit different. It's not your, here's the monster. It's more about this family struggling and this, it's almost tragic because you see this guy losing his humanity, but he's still trying to put himself in between this monster that he's becoming and his family. He's trying to, while he's still got the wherewithal to do so. It's heartbreaking. This they've gone up there to kind of settle things. the relationship is a bit strained, and now she's going to end up, her husband is slowly fading and into something unrecognizable. And the little girl, played by actress Matilda Firth, it did such a good job. She's just crying, and you're like, oh my gosh, this poor kid's watching this happen to her dad, and she keeps crying, "Mommy, make him better. Why isn't he getting better?" So again, fantastic performances. I like the direction. I like that they took a swing, tried to do something a little bit different. So I can't fault him there, but for me, it just, I kind of wanted a little bit more horror. It was good for what it was, but I think like I said, I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars total. If you're a fan of this, you'll probably like it. If you're a fan of the classics, you might not, but I'd say, take a chance. There's not a lot of stuff at the box office here in January. You called it, was it Dumpuary?
They call, January and February usually Dumpuary. We are getting, because we're flyover country, we are getting some of the 2024 Oscar stuff gradually coming out here in St. Louis. Are there any rules about werewolves that they tried to change here? I like the word virus, but it seemed like that wasn't really how this thing evolved. It wasn't a virus, was it?
No, I think it's just that lore that if you're kind of scratched or bitten, you'll become one. There was no silver bullets used. She just had a straight shotgun that she was pulling out, and they tried a hammer at one point.
We gotta get outdoors, Dan.
They took a knife. Oh, I know. You talk about Bigfoot. And
how do you
we'll
take out a werewolf?
Yeah, but they had kitchen knives, they had hammers, they had bear trap that they used. So there's lots of different weapons, but there was nothing specific to the werewolf lore, like silver bullets that they always talked about in American Werewolf in London and things like that, where you want that kind of thing.
Now, I did watch American Werewolf in London a lot, and that's because I discovered it during puberty. And there's a little bit of there's some skin in film that I couldn't stop rewinding. But oh man, I did love American Werewolf. I still love it to this day.
Yeah, and it's funny. Shannon in the chats, Shannon Musler said, when I think of werewolf, I think of American Werewolf in London. And
practical effects and oh man.
And that's what this was too. It's not a lot of CGI. So I appreciated that about the movie too, is it's not a lot of CGI stuff. It was very practical effects, because a lot of people have said they've got a Universal Monsters area down there in Universal Studios in Florida. And they said, this is what the werewolf looks like. It's like, dude, it's practical effects. But now they've got this werewolf from this movie running around there in the Universal parks. So it's kind of to promote the film, I guess.
I'm a huge fan of the Mummy ride, though, at Universal Studios Florida. It's a very self-contained small ride, but what they do with it is incredible. And it's mostly dark, but there are drops that are so scary. There is an entire flame area where the ceiling just catches on fire, and you can feel it singeing you, and it's incredible. But that's the Brendan Fraser ones, which I need to revisit. I don't know if I've really studied The Mummy 1 and 2, but I know that it's two of my girls' favorite films.
I enjoy those very much.
I need to buy those on 4K and rewatch those.
Yeah, there you go. I enjoy both those very much. So yeah, that's my take on the Universal Pictures new Wolfman, 3.5 out of 5. So yeah, I guess Joey V and I both say that the movies we saw would be recommended to go see in theaters. Hello, BK on the air out of Cartersville, Georgia. Hello to you. And our friend Christian Basil at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. If you're a Doctor Who fan, check out their show. Tom Baker's 91st birthday today. And he says, kitchen knives, bear trap, you were there when I was dating in college. No, thankfully I wasn't, but that sounds just awful. I don't want to see the women you were dating in that case, Christian. But thank you all for tuning in. We're almost up. We had like 50 seconds until I got to start playing the theme song.
You know, something I've heard, this may work on werewolves. I know post office workers do this all the time. The mailmen, they keep Tootsie Rolls in their pocket in case a dog tries to attack them. They'll throw a Tootsie Roll and the dog will go eat it. And it's not actual chocolate in there, so it won't kill the dog.
Oh, interesting.
So if you come across a werewolf, silver bullets, stakes in the heart, Tootsie Rolls, whatever. I think that'll distract.
Well, you probably do want to kill the werewolf, so maybe some Hershey's milk chocolate, throw that their way, and that'll maybe, who knows?
It could work.
But thank you all for listening tonight. Congratulations again to Dolores for calling in, winning that family 4-pack of tickets. And thank you to Laura Seal, the host of Disney on Ice Presents Into the Magic. Thank you to Joey V for joining me for the movie review of September 5. And we're going to go ahead and get our outro music playing here as we roll out. Make sure you check out the #2 Rivers Comic Con. Tickets are going to go up in price on February 14th. If you don't have your tickets yet, get them now. A 3-day pass is just $35 or $15 for an individual day pass. We've got Roy Thomas, Chuck Patton, Bill Lamar, Susan Eisenberg, Maria Canals-Barrera, Dan Reba, Alan Burnett, Keith Williams, Phil Hester, Andy Parks, and so many more people. I know I'm forgetting a couple. Mark Bagley, of course, my very favorite Spider-Man artist. So check him out. The number 2, riverscomiccon.com. Get your tickets now before they go up. Thank you to Joey V for helping me review the movies. Thank you to Laura Seal. Thank you to all of you who listen. And until next week, my friends.
That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, Disneyland. Good night.
The Big 550. KTRS.